Fallout Season 2 Episode 5, presented by Intel, begins where Episode 4 left off, with Ghoul Howard and Lucy in a stare down with a Deathclaw. Suddenly, 3 more Deathclaws teleport onto the scene, with one to the left and one to the right, with one currently off screen. Why did these Deathclaws wait for the first one to do a movie monster reveal before showing up? I have no idea, but they're here now. And the main one is very kindly just standing still and waiting for the others to announce themselves before attacking like the wild animal it is. We get joke time, only 1 minute in, as Lucy says she defers to Ghoul Howard, with his response being to run. But not too far, just to the nearest car. From this car we can see the 4th Deathclaw, which looks like it is eating a 5th one and not giving a shit about anything that's going on or the noise that the others have made. In fact, its position places it directly in the line of sight of the 2 plucky adventurers when they entered this set, I mean in-world location, during the previous episode. As it was not seen, I can only conclude that it teleported into the scene as part of another NPC trigger. Lucy is continuing to be quirky and asking for more drugs, almost as if this is not a life or death situation she has found herself in, and her trained killer companion is piss scared of what is right next to them. She wants to fight, asking what gun to use, with Ghoul Howard suggesting a rocket launcher, before the car they're hiding behind gets stepped on by one of the Deathclaws. Dog takes this opportunity to piss off. Now, given how the Deathclaws act, it appears that they are poor-sighted, with very short-term memories, as the one on the car seems unable to detect Lucy and Ghoul Howard hiding right next to it and directly below its nose. This is further reinforced when Ghoul Howard throws a grenade in a bag, which the Deathclaw tracks, before it blows up, keeping the beast's attention. The pair use this chance to run for a gate and escape. It is as they run that we see not only were the other 2 alerted Deathclaws just standing around and doing nothing during this whole event, but the 4th one that was having a snack has vanished, probably because it would have been in the way of Lucy and Ghoul Howard's escape if it remained in the world. Please also note that the gate they escaped through is between the Lucky 38 and the Ultra Lux, which, going back to the previous episode's footage, can indeed be seen for a whole 2 seconds, which I missed in last week's review. Title card and scene change, and we get a sign for the King's School of Impersonation, with the Lucky 38 just beyond it. The camera pans around to show Mick and Ralph's, as well as Lucy and Ghoul Howard. Oh, and it's around midday right now, which means that these 2 have been standing staring at the gate to the strip for a good 8 to 10 hours minimum, and doing nothing. Either that, or the strip gates lead to a poorly programmed creation engine cell where it is permanently night, because moving through one gate, the Deathclaw encounter, and then fleeing through another gate seem to have taken nearly 24 hours otherwise. Given the conversation between Lucy and Ghoul Howard, she is asking about Vegas and the Deathclaws, seems to suggest that both characters have been standing and staring at this gate for hours, and kept in limbo only to have this conversation now. Lucy wonders why Hank ran into a den of giant carnivorous monsters, and Ghoul Howard rails off that he was aware of vault-tec plans for special management vaults, but everyone he went to ended up being empty. He says he found 2, one in California and another in Oregon, but had never looked in Vegas. This leads me to question, why? Vegas is an awful lot closer to Los Angeles than Oregon is, and given his admission that they had been there before, suggests that he did not care to look for his family. In fact, given the opening scenes of Season 1, Episode 1, we see that Ghoul Howard had Jeannie with him when the bombs dropped, and we know was divorced from Barbara, which means something very convoluted indeed must have happened for him to lose his daughter, for her to find Barbara, and then end up in a special vault in Vegas. Either that, or the writers are just making it up as they go along and did not have a plan for this at the start of the series. Anyway, Lucy, still seemingly high on buff-out after a full day, suggests just rushing in and scoffs at the Deathclaw name, the beasts they just ran away from. Anyway, they enter Freeside, which leads me to question how Freeside was exactly a half-day's detour from the other strip gate, because that is not how time and distance work. A half-day would put it around 24 miles away, but given how small the strip is, that cannot be the case. Joke time as Lucy is approached by a man wearing a "Beat Me Up for Caps" sign. The level of idiocy is off the charts with this one, as he is jingling a tin can with caps in it, and if someone paid to beat him up, they could just take the caps right back while he is in the floor in pain. Clearly getting tired of Lucy being on drugs, and contrary to what he said in the last episode, Ghoul Howard hands Lucy some caps and tells her to go to Sunny's to get some Addictol to clear her up. He then leaves in order to go and hang out at a bar. Said bar is the Atomic Wrangler, and Ghoul Howard enters and orders an entire bottle of whiskey. The barkeep tells him that the Deathclaws all moved up from Quarry Junction and just started hanging out at the strip, but he does not care as long as he does not have to pay taxes. I think this might qualify as a joke time, but I'm unsure. From what he says, it seems that the strip has changed hands around 6 times. Twice to the NCR, twice to the Legion, once the Securitrons, and now the Deathclaws. Ghoul Howard, seemingly quite depressed at this point in time, simply tells him to shut up. Galaxy News! While the government twiddles its thumbs, big business is gathering in Vegas. Pan away from the TV to Cooper and Barbara entering an airport, along with Hank McClane still trying to toady up to Cooper. It is pointed out that he has a very special vault-tec case with him before he is dismissed, and Cooper then makes an excuse to make a phone call. It turns out, however, that the call he is making is to 2 phone booths over and Lee Moldava. She tells him to check the coin return, and inside is a vial of poison, maybe? I don't really know what it is, other than very fortunate indeed for her that nobody else used that phone booth after she planted the vial and tried to use the coin return themselves. Still, she wants him to go through with the assassination of Senor Bungalow, but he refuses, leaving the vial behind and heading off his plane. Side note, during this scene we get a single shot of Hank chatting with 2 of the members of the 31 group. Jump over to Vegas now, with a protest being held as the Howards arrive at the Lucky 38. Cooper is surprised that there's a vault-tec hotel with a cutout of himself advertising it. The camera cuts to the Lucky 38 door, and we get boring Senator from the previous episode getting kicked out, with the MPs tossing her down to the floor. Several seconds pass, and it is Cooper who goes over and helps her up. The scene as presented suggests that Cooper wants to say more to her, but the look from Barbara makes him excuse himself as the pair go inside. Barbara then excuses herself to go and talk to Robco reps, and Cooper takes this time to try and follow Hank. Going up some stairs and seeing him at a bar, he then contemplates his next move as we hear the lift open in the background, and who should step out but Senor Bungalow from Season 1. Monsieur Ground Floor Apartment makes his way over to Cooper Howard and whispers in his ear that Senor Bungalow would like to see him. This man is not the real housing complex. Emerging on the top floor, Cooper is greeted by Victor before moving forward and getting to meet Senor Bungalow himself. Senor Bungalow says he knows Cooper Howard has come to kill him, and we end the scene. Accompanied by jolly music, we have the worst character from Season 1, Mr. Chicken Man, who has, for an undisclosed reason, decided to walk all the way to Vegas himself. We get joke time of him being attacked by a radroach, before another joke time of him sitting with Fisto, the sex robot. This is apparently not the first time that he has assumed the position, but it will be the last, as Hank has teleported into the scene and clobbers him over the head. We do not know where this is, other than somewhere outside of the Strip and Free side, and a place that sells tacos. Scene that is too small to count as its own one here, as we cut away to Hank driving past more cryopods, with two being for Barbara and Janie. Mr. Chicken Man wakes up with a mind control device in his neck and Hank on the other side of the table, much like how it was the last time we saw this room. Hank offers him the chance to forget his entire life, and Mr. Chicken Man accepts. The mind control device is switched on, Mr. Chicken Man reacting to the ever higher levels it is going through. The camera pans away from them to outside the room, and there is no head explosion. Success! Hank has made the mind control chip work, even though we know it worked before because we saw it with the man who took the bomb into Shady Sands. Back with Buds, the 31 crew, as they approach vault-tec HQ. All stop for a while to stare at it before going inside. Joke time! One of them comments on it being so dirty. I know, right? It's almost like 219 years of grime have not built up. They even say one of the storytelling skeletons must be the janitor. They keep on anyway, with Norman spotting some fresh blood on the wall, but before he can alert anyone, joke time! Buds mock the corpse of Janice still at her desk and call her a kiss-ass. Oh, these zany people and their goofy humour. Anyway, noises from the barricaded lifts startle them all, and one grabs a fan as a weapon. What could be in there? Well, we don't get to find out just yet, as Marjune and Barv have teleported onto the scene behind everyone and say it's their squat. She comments on there being more vault dwellers, which causes Norman to step forward and ask what she means by this. Now, I must point out here that the 31 group had to pull off boards from the outside of the doors in order to get in, so how is it a place that Marjune is living at? Does she board up the front doors every time she leaves, or did they board up the front doors and then find a window to climb through in order to get back inside the building? Claudia is asking Barv what's in the lifts, and we are told this is a roach farm. Joke time as she asks how big it is, only to be told not big enough for harvesting. You see, it is confusion. Claudia wanted to know how big it was in comparison to a regular roach, and you know what, just never mind. Norm confirms that Marjune had met Lucy and Philly before the Brotherhood showed up to kill everyone. She rails off a number of names, including NCR and Enclave, which go right over Norman's head. She said the job had slim odds given it was Khan country. I would like to take this moment to address this show, throughout the entirety of Season 1, never once mentioned the Khans, nor showed any sign of their presence. We saw a couple of fiends, but that was it. Now, according to this season, the Great Khans control land stretching all the way from Novak to eastern Los Angeles, making them the largest landholder in the show, but have appeared exactly once as a bunch of guys to get killed by Ghoul Howard in order to show how badass he is. It is also curious how Mr. Chicken Man walked all the way from Los Angeles to Vegas through the heart of supposed Great Khan land, and was not once stopped or robbed by them, given he still has the fusion core with him on the road. It is almost as if this is bollocks. Anyway, Ma June tells Norman that Lucy is dead, as there's near zero chance of her surviving and that he should just go home. She offers free supplies and then exits the episode. Back in Freeside with Lucy as she goes to Sunny's, only to find the prices are significantly higher than expected and she cannot afford the Addictol. Defeated, she goes to leave, only to spot an open rear entrance and decides that she's going to try stealing rather than go back empty-handed. She filches some Addictol, then nicks a power fist before coming across a dead body in a barrel on her way out and getting spotted. The obese store owner, clearly wearing a shirt far too small for him, asks her what she is doing. She makes an excuse and then it's joke time. She sees a picture of Sunny and asks if it's him, rather than the naked man in the trash. "Oh, don't be silly," he says. "That's a robber who entered the store naked." Still, fat bastard goes for a gun, but Lucy's quick on the draw and shoots him dead. Another woman enters the store and, asking who Lucy is, Lucy has an attack of the morals, as she does not know who she is becoming. Anyway, next door at the Atomic Wrangler, Ghoul Howard is still at the bar, but then decides to go up to his room. Well, that scene was nice and short, right? Back to pre-war now with Cooper and Senor Bungalow. Bungalow spends most of this scene explaining how he uses mathematics to work out the most probable scenarios, and reveals that he saw the death claws in Alaska due to having access to power armor recording systems, believing that they are linked to the future of America and to Barbara. Senor Bungalow says that both he and Howard are the best at what they do, but what he does is know everything. This is why he has a cold fusion machine ready to go, and it is also why he calculated the end of the world, but being a bit unclear on to exactly who would initiate it. But it's probably not going to be vault-tec. But Barbara is a different kettle of fish entirely, so maybe her? But the date on which the calculator determined there was going to be an end of the world was April 14th, 2065, Janie's birthday. How curious indeed. Even more is that the date it calculated, which we outside of the show know to be in 2077, shifted by 1 month after Howard purchased his ticket to Vegas. Howard reveals what he has been told by Moldava, and Senor Bungalow confirms it will not be him or anyone at the scene in Season 1 who will drop the bomb. Now, one side tangent for a moment here. This is incredibly frustrating as someone trying to review the show, as I cannot tell what inaccuracies with this source material are mistakes by the writing team or just lies told within the context of the show. I am forced to accept whatever is presented to me as the truth, and then try and work out when something contradictory comes along if it is the truth, a lie, the first statement was a lie, or if it is all lies for a third truth later, which may come in Season 3. Anyway, back to the scene at hand, and Senor Bungalow says there is another player, one that he does not know. And if the house always wins, what if he is not the house? Senor Bungalow starts raving and Howard exits the scene, drinking from his hip flask in the lift on the way down. The rest of the pre-war scenes in this episode are mostly irrelevant, so I will just go over the post-war ones that are left. First we have Buds as they try to get in contact with the investors. Norman has a heart-to-heart with Claudia, and between the two of them, they decide to try and figure out what is going on by looking into Barbara's terminal, as she was in charge of all the vault proposals. The pair go up to her office and start hacking into a terminal. Claudia excuses herself to get a drink, and Norman cannot find anything on future Enterprise ventures, but there is a link to the forced evolutionary virus. But before he can find out more, Ronnie attacks. He was hiding and heard that Norman was not part of Bud's plan. The bigger man strangles Norman and then leaves him for dead. Back to Lucy, and she takes a hit of the addictol and starts projectile vomiting for a sustained amount of time. Joke time, I guess. Still, she recovers enough to go into the atomic Wrangler before throwing up again out of the window. Definitely joke time, as we hear someone from below shout, "Watch it!" Once she has settled down, Mr. Chicken Man enters the scene. You see, he was hiding in the bathroom this whole time. He gives a proposal: take Lucy home and no harm will come to Barbara and Janie. Ghoul Howard takes the offer and hits Lucy with a tranq round, and Mr. Chicken Man leaves the room. But this does not put Lucy down. She gets up, equips the power fist, and punches Ghoul Howard out of the window and onto a giant spike that goes right through his spine and sternum. This does not impact his ability to speak, and nobody on the ground level seems to want to do anything about it. And also, amazingly, it seems to have still got control over his legs, despite his spinal cord being severed. But I guess this is just one more perk of being a ghoul. It is now that the drugs take full effect on Lucy, and she collapses. Final scene, and someone enters the room where Lucy is fading in and out of consciousness. It is Hank. Yeah, that's the whole scene there. Yeah. And with episode 5 over, I awarded another 3. Still far too many jokes for my liking. Inconsistent timekeeping over travel, distance, people and animals just teleporting in and out of scenes, and a whole lot of nothing happening story-wise. Lucy and Ghoul Howard have spent this episode doing the equivalent of walking down one street. Pre-war stuff is alright for the most part, although I did like the scene with Senor Bungalow, acting a lot more like House in my opinion. As for everything it got wrong, well, not a broad variety, but it is very condensed, as it is one, essentially, set. Mick and Ralph is not next to the strip. It is by a gateway from Freeside to the Wasteland. The Golden Globes Adult Entertainment Studio is located in Reno, not Vegas. The Power Fist shown is an East Coast version, not a Vegas version. There is no gateway to the strip next to the King's School of Impersonation. Vault 21 was not a hotel, but was a regular vault based around gambling to settle disputes. It was then turned into a hotel after being taken over by Mr. House post-war. There is no ending for the Great Khans that has them expanding into California, except potentially as part of the Legion, at which point they are no longer the Khans. More of a niggle, really, but Fixer is the anti-addiction drug used in Vegas, not Addictol, and it is known for causing the nausea that Lucy shows. Also, another niggle, the famous pose by Mr. House is incorrect. Well, that wraps up another one. Only 3 episodes to go, so I hope you can join me again next week for episode 6. Thank you again, and have a good day.